next webinar in the PLGBC online in PLGBC innovation. Today we will talk about a phytotextile green wall system. Our expert is Fernando Hidalgo. Welcome, Fernando. And
Hello.
Damian Władyka.
Hello.
We have a chat window, and if you have any question for our expert, please put in there. So I think we could start. Fernando, please start your presentation now.
Okay. First of all, good morning to everybody. I see that people are ingressing now to the meeting room. I am going to share my presentation where I will talk about benefits of living wall when you include it in buildings and cities. Let me check if you get. Mhm. Now I think I'm sharing my screen, no?
Yes.
With this, now you see the
presentation. Yes.
Yes.
Great.
okay. So we can start. So I'm Fernando Hidalgo. I am architect from the company Terapia Urbana. In this, first of all, we want to thanks the invitation to share our experience in collaboration with Hadart, with who we collaborate in the design and installation of living walls. We collaborate with Hadart, as I told, in the designing and also the technical advice for the implementation of these green facades into buildings and into their projects. So we have been a few years collaborating in a very interesting project that as we will comment. Damian, if you need to comment anything about the slides, we will be just tell me, okay? Because I only watching the presentation. I don't see the
Sure. I will be jumping in whenever necessary, of course.
Okay, perfect. Just briefly, in a summary, to explain who is Terapia Urbana. Now we are a company, a technology-based company that comes from the University of Seville. We start our investigation around 2008 in the university, in collaboration with a research and development group that were focused on and investigating new systems for implementing living walls after the first installation that Patrick Blanc installed in the very beginning. Now we are in more than 22 countries with different partners with more than 22,000 square meters installed of installation, mainly focused on living walls. In our scheme of collaboration, as you can see in this slide, we are a technical office, a consultancy made by experts in agronomic engineers, architects, landscapers, have a very long experience in the designing, investigating, and installing living walls, and also doing some research in collaboration with the university. You can see here, and also we have a patent that I will show you with a system that is called Fytotextile. There is a textile system that I will talk deeper in the rest of the slides. And our technical office collaborate directly with Hadart in order to push all the development of the projects and to provide also the systems, the modules to install the living walls. They also collaborate with the University of Lublin. Sorry for my Polish. Damian, you can correct me.
Lublin, yeah, that's correct.
Lublin, okay. So only for you to let you know, like an overview about who we are and what we do. No? We are we work in 3 lines, mainly in technical and landscape consultancy, also in production and commercialization of our living wall system, also with a special focus on research and development. We can also do a complete project managing of the projects in which we collaborate. So as I told you, our main product, our main system is Fytotextile system. It's a patent that is already being produced in Seville. It's at the moment we produce it from Spain. Distribute to all of our collaborators and partners like Hadart. No?
Yeah, so here I could add that Hadart is the exclusive distributor of the Fytotextile system for Poland, and we already managed to do living walls using that system all over Poland in many big cities. And here we can see our one of the biggest living walls in Katowice. This is our recent project.
In a very early stage of planting, so where you can see all the plants pockets and all these grid that you can realize in the because of the composition of the installation. This is a project that we did in collaboration with Hada. They did the installation, and we have been also giving some technical advice during the control monitoring because it includes an advanced control system which reads the temperature, the moisture of the soil, and give us a complete information in real time of what is happening with the plants and with the system. So it's as you will see, it's an advanced constructive system for green facades. These are some other images of installations in early stages of process of construction, only to let you know how is this system compounds, no, but different layers, the modules, and then the plants, and with a very fast coverage from the very beginning. We also have done some installation. This is specifically installation in UK that we did. Some also it's possible to implement it indoors, adapting to a small and compact systems that we call it slim green walls. In this presentation, as we're going to be very short, very specific about benefits and so we are not go so deep in the different system, but for sure Hada will can give you more information about any system or application that you may want to install. No? Also, this is an installation in Poland made by Hadart, adapting our system to a very small column. Thanks to the flexibility of the system, it's possible to adapt also in this kind of green columns, or as we call it, lianas system that can offer different ways to introduce include nature into indoor spaces. So in a very interesting ways, no, with a tank at the bottom for a very automatic automation system that recirculates the irrigation. These are other images only for you to know what are the different compositions and integrations that we can design to include some greenery indoors and also outdoors in different formats on the walls, like elements that can be placed in different areas of the building and offices and different type of spaces. No? Some only for you to let you know some images. This is in the Tower Bridge in London, and also the possibility to do some ephemeral installations thanks to the fast coverage of the system that let you include a very fast installation system for a living wall. Like this one in Bilbao, in the north of Spain. It was like a temporary exhibition that the city council prepared to celebrate some special days in the city. Another image of the Katowice living wall.
This is a great example how the wall, the living wall lives basically, so how it changes through the seasons. And on this photo, it's a great example of, the image of how the wall changed, how the wall grew. You can see it's probably 2 months after the installation or something like that. So not very long, and already the effect is great.
Yes. Also, in our designs, we always try to add some value from the compositive and artistic aspect, no, of the installation, because at the end we are providing a big surfaces, green surfaces into the cities that start to be like big pictures, like big green pictures alive into the city that increase the quality of life, also the landscape aspect of the city. And this is a very important aspect to take into account to don't waste any of the potential. And now we will see some benefits starting step by step, because I think that it's very interesting to 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 have in mind all the different aspects in which a living wall can affect positively, in a positive way to the company, to the space, also to the persons, also to the environment. So we will see it. I have organized the presentation in these 6 points that we will very specific, starting with the benefits, and then some technical aspects of the living wall project, in order for you to know how we develop the process from the starting point, the designing, the selection of system, the installation, and how to implement the landscape design according to the specific climate in every location. I think it's interesting to talk also about the the phytotextile system to let you know the main differences in which we can give a important value. Also, it will be like the scheme for you to compare with other options in the market, for you to know how to compare this in new this trendy new system, because at the moment it's not so common to have the information or the knowledge to be able uh, to know which aspects compare between different systems. Also, design process, some examples for you to know the result of different installation and case studies. So, starting with the benefits, which benefits do living walls provide? We start with this question. No? From the beginning, I would like that you think about the problems that we have in our cities at the moment. No, we call it like not a habitable city. It's a city where you have problems due to acoustic contamination, some problems due to a heat island effect because of the accumulation of heat because of the materials that the buildings are made of. Also, the atmospheric contamination because of the installation of air conditioning, also the traffic, some pollutions that because of the components and materials in the cities, all the problems that it's caused by the loss of the natural habits that is starting to be a problem for biodiversity, and also because of not having enough spaces or surfaces that can act like I don't know what the name in English is, like a colchón, like a some element to reduce the impact of the strong storms. You know that because of climatic change, the rain start to appear like in a very short period of time, but very aggressive. And this caused many problems in the drainage and all the installations of the city to collect all this water, and provoking some collapsing of the installation and so. And also the energy consumption in the buildings, that we can improve it thanks to combine with the nature. No, in front of this not habitable city, we propose a green city. No, it's a city where thanks to the presence of nature, we can get a noise reduction of the spaces, because all the facades can work in collaboration or integration with nature, giving as a result an energy consumption reduction, because the plants, thanks to its natural process of evapotranspiration, they produce water, exhale water to regulate its temperature. So a plant, a green surface, is not going to be hotter than the air surrounding the plants. Never. It's just the opposite, like a steel or a glass facade, where it can get a temperature very much higher from the temperature of the outdoor air. Also, thanks to the living walls and green roofs, we can create new green spaces and for the city, for increase the quality of life and cities. The Organization of Health worldwide estimates that we need around 4 or 5 square meters of greenery for every square meter. There is a proportion, sorry, and now I have forgot the ratio, but there is a ratio that estimate the relation between green areas and habitats. And as much more green surfaces a city have, we can estimate in a higher value the quality of life in that city. So adding this value, these green surfaces and green systems to the buildings, using some spaces that are able to be installed, we can increase this ratio, and also to have a better evaluation of the quality of life. Also increase of biodiversity, and also integrating these living walls or green roofs in a way to productions of vegetables. We can also have some new ways of food production, no? Also biofiltration of the air. So at summarizing, there, thanks to the nature, we can add many benefits to the city. So adapting to the specific case of the living walls or green roofs, we can add some CO2 fixation due to the natural functioning of the plants that take oxygen for living, and during the opposite, sorry, take CO2 from the air and produce oxygen. This is true that this process is the opposite during night, but the proportions are not so dangerous to take them into account. So we can implement some surfaces to provide oxygen, to increase urban green areas, as I told before. Also mainly increase biodiversity. This is an aspect that from the European Union there are some plans and some projects to implement and give a lot of value to all the projects that take into account the way to implement a city that can coexist with the nature and don't avoid the green surface. And also thanks to the implementation of these green surfaces that at the end are called surfaces, we can reduce the heat island effect. For those that don't know what is heat island effect, is the increase of temperature in the city because of the accumulation of hot into the materials that are used for the construction of buildings and so. Finally, the reduction of the carbon footprint that many of you know is a main aspect that every time is more evaluated, and also can be a good aspect to compete with other companies according to the how much sustainable they are, or how they do the things in a good way, no? Also, this is from the most big area, no, the environment, but focus on the buildings. Thanks to the green facades, we can improve the thermal insulation. This has a direct correlation in a reduction of energy consumption due to the climate installations, because as the building doesn't have so a big change of temperature in the facade, the indoor space it doesn't require to condition it so in a so high in a way, so it's a cost-effective way, no, consuming energy and electricity, and also producing CO2. Also, including green systems like living walls and vertical gardens, we can mitigate the sick building syndrome. This is a group of illness that affect people indoors due to the bad conditions of the air, or the pollutants presence of the contaminated organic volatiles is volatile organic contaminants. Are some chemicals components that the furniture, the paint, the plastic materials can introduce in the indoor spaces. So thanks to this type of systems, we can have we can get healthier spaces. Also, thanks to all of these aspects that we have been commenting, these have a direct impact in the happiness, in the wellness of the persons. Also increase the relaxation of people in this type of spaces where there are green areas or green living wall systems. Also creating some stress reduction that has a direct correlation with the improve of the productivity of the companies, and also the reduction of the problems of the people who work in that spaces, that doesn't get ill so frequently, and so at the end has a very good impact also for the company balance, no? Improving the concentration and also improving the air quality. At the end, this ambience is what you get, no? Happiness, inspiration, concentration, wellness, no? At the end.
Yeah, I can add also that we know about the American case studies, which shows that people who work in places with lots of plants, they call off sick 9% less than people working in spaces without them. So that's another kind of example also.
Yes,
And the
for
benefit.
sure. And has a direct impact in the at the end in the productivity of the company also, no? Also, it's a very interesting point to take into account the way of the that these type of systems can affect in a positive way in the institutions and companies. First of all, because of the return on investment, because of marketing that you can get after including this type of systems, because you are creating more attractive spaces that at the end create a better image, brand image for the companies, and also like a very good improve the relation between persons and companies. And also at the end, this can affect from the social corporative responsibility, that for big institutions and companies it's a very important thing to include in their budgets for the annual estimation. So they need to fulfill some requirements for the social corporative responsibility, and including this type of elements into the spaces, they can get a very good result. Going inside for the technical aspects in a summary way, I'm going to to talk about how the process of the project starts and how it progress. We need to have a look on the general requirements to consider according to which type of system we are going to include in which space, because at the end this type of systems has some technical requirements that is not the focus of this webinar, but it's interesting to take into account, no? And finally, the technical requirements of the system, because at the end we are including a constructive system into the building. At the end, it has to be included as the rest of components of in a building, like the roof, like the walls, like the installation. So we are expert in providing this information, technical information, to get the best inclusion of the system into the project. So this can be like an scheme of the phases for a living world project. First of all, we will have some previous requirement analysis in which we are going to evaluate the situation of the system. We will see it deeper in the next slides, and then according to all these requirements we will draft the technical project. It's very important that this project is very well drafted and specificate in order to avoid any mistakes or any problems, because these installations needs to be integrated for a long time. So it's good to have a lifespan analysis when we consider to include it, because these systems has to be in the integrated in the building for many years. Then we proceed after the draft of the technical project to install the system, and once the system is completely installed, the maintenance period starts. This is a very important period in every green system or every living wall system or green roof systems, because as we will see, we are working with alive components. So the plants are the principal and the main component of this installation. So the maintenance at the end will play an important role. It's not to be afraid of this, because doing a very well planification and a very well technical design, and also implementing the correct aspects for make the maintenance process very easy to do, this is not going to affect in a dramatic way the cost of the installation during all its lifespan.
I can
And
also say, if I can just pop in, that the maintenance of the big walls, like the one we saw in Katowice and the other one we have in Szczecin, it requires climbers or flat lift. It happens 4 or 5 times a year, so it's not that often. And so, yeah, it's not like every week you have to be there. It's a bit different scenario with the walls indoors. Then we maintain them more often. But the outside walls, yeah, like 4 or 5 times a year. If you choose correct plants as well, it's more than enough.
Okay. Yes, for sure. And then the last point that we will talk about is about a value that we think is very important and interesting to don't waste, about related to the put value in the communication aspects of the result of the installation and also the dynamization of the installation. First of all, of the project, we will have to do an analysis of the requirements that define the system. So at the end, it's important to see how the structure it will be implemented in the facade, with type of modules or system you are going to integrate. We are focused this webinar in the phytotextile system, but these main aspects can be used for any installation. No? For us, it's very important the technical description of the system, because it's the recipe where the technician specify the way the system wants to that he wants or she wants to be the system be installed, and it's going to affect directly to the success of the installation. Very important, the architectural integration. We will need most of times a wall or an element where be able to implement this installation, where there is no this wall or this structure to be fixed on it. We will have to install an element, a self-resistance auto-portrait element that can afford the living wall system. It's important for you to have into account that for the process of design this type of projects, there will be multidisciplinary teams involved, because you will have technicians, landscapers, people more related with aspect of botanic science and selection of plants, and also for the designing of lighting system, you need engineers. So it's a very specific way to do it. No. It's important also to have into account that the certifications LEED and BREEAM can give an evaluation of the value of that this installation get for our project, because this in some markets like in UK and also Polish market, the as more sustainable is a project, and or as more as better evaluation of this type of system you get, you can give like a better value or get a better position in front of your customer. No, when the customer wants to compare between two different projects, can take into account this evaluation in LEED and BREEAM systems. So it's very important to be how the presence of the living wall or the green roof can add points for the certification. In the installation system, you have to take into account that there will be different agents in this process. So the coordination between all of them, it will be very important and has to be very well scheduled to avoid any problem, because as we told before, we are working with alive elements. The plants need to have some conditions about watering, about shading or sunlight, that if we put the plants on site and then we have a delay of a few weeks, we can have a problem to keep all those plants alive. No? So it's important to take into account planting periods. Of course, in climate, extreme climate, in winter, like Polish climate, it's very interesting to do a very proper selection with an analysis like the one we will see the other slides. And also at the end of this installation, you will have to do some service proofs and also quality test and for control the wood, the well functioning of the system. Mainly when you have an advanced control system, when you need to, at the end is the connection between the installation and the installer, no, because it gives information how the system is doing. Oh, sorry, this the picture has been moved, but in essence, we are talking about the maintenance in this slide. As I told before, it's an essential part. It's the word that is in the middle. Wait, I will put it.
Oh yeah, now it's better.
Yes, now here. The maintenance is an essential aspect of every installation when you work with plants, because as I will be very repeated, they are alive components, so we must include a maintenance plan in the project, and also guarantee the access for let the companies to get the top and the bottom in, or at least to be able to do it once it is required. So it's very common that there is an initial period that is guaranteed by the installer from the 3 first months or until even the first year. But after that, the client used to contract a maintenance service with the same company or with another. But to keep in mind that maintenance at the end is a cost that has to be considered.
Also that photo is a great example, because we see a third photo of the same wall, and all of the photos are different. So you can see how the wall develops and goes through the seasons. It's very interesting. Here we have autumn colors coming in. Yeah, so once you install it, it's not like it stays like that. You maintain it and nothing else happens. There is something going on all the time. You have bees flying all over the wall, even at the top. And here, when we look at the top, we are talking about the 8th floor. So yeah, that's
Yes.
high.
In this special project, it's very complex to do the access. So because the not complex in a bad way, but you need to think up before to do it, because you need auxiliary machines, no, to go so high. At the end, the component that I comment, no, about the dynamization and to take into account the relevance of the communication aspects of the benefits that we can give with this type of buildings, because as we commented at the beginning, it can affect in the benefits of return on investment because of marketing. We also from the University of Seville did some research and investigation articles that to estimate the value that a company, a hospital in this case, could get after included this is the living wall in this image. They promote the installation of the system and also did a research about the improve of the satisfaction of the patients and people that visit the hospital. And at the end, they could estimate a return on the investment. So it's a very interesting aspect to take advantage of it. So we always recommend to tell the benefits. Create press notes, take into account the media impact, and also spread the message of the benefits. No, in Spain we have a very important example, like Forum in Madrid. Now is a like obligatory stop for the tourist buses, touristic buses. So at the end, it can be an active for the company also. According to the general requirements to consider when you are going to draft a project, we have to think about if this is going to be a permanent or an ephemeral installation. To think about if it is going to install in a new building or in an existing one, indoors or outdoors, because according to all these aspects, the design and the technical components of the system will be different, and that will be adapted to every situation. No? Also, to know very well the deadlines for installation and ending dates, because this have a very big impact in the needs of the size of plants, and also the speed of coverage, of the system. Finally, all the technical requirements that we need to think about is like the weight, dimension test that every system can facilitate, and also the resistance, durability, which type of connections we will require, and we will see it more specifically now. Sorry, these are some in Spanish, but I will tell you the type of growth creation of the routing system. This is a very important aspect of the of the um, of the system, because according to how the system improve the quality of transpiration of the roots in the soil, it will affect to the develop of the plants. Also, how it classificate against fire, the resistance or the technical features of the system when it has to face a fire situation is very important. Every time this aspect is more is getting more importance, and is a specific requirement in many projects. Specifically in the most advanced projects. Also, the distribution of water because of the irrigation system that affect to the consumption of water will be very important to compare different systems. Also, the mechanic resistance, the traction, the durability, the maximum loads and warranties that every system can provide. Also weights and dimensions and the thick of the system, and mainly the what it will have a biggest impact in the result will be the density of plants and the size of pots that you use from the beginning, because this will affect to the period of coverage of the surface. No, also can be interesting to ask for the percentage of failures expected of plants to know how many plants will be required to place again on the system. It can be from 1 to 3% in a year of the total quantity of plants, and also that the system is have a simple and easy installation process. No, it's not. It's always good to avoid a complex installation that requires very a lot of work to check any component or anything or any element that is not easy to access. Mainly the irrigation lines.
Yeah, like we had a job removing one phytotextile system and moving it to another place, and it was quite easy to uninstall and then install in a new place.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
And
at the end.
the same thing is with plants. I mean, it's very easy to change the design. Let's say the investor, after a few years, wants to, let's say, redecorate. You can make a completely different design, because that modules are like pixels. So basically, you can achieve any design you want with plants.
Yes, this pixel pattern that the modules have make it easier to control also the design, as we will see later, and also facilitates the remove of plants and replace in other positions. Not to do it every day, but to afford it in the period that it can be required. No, so for the landscapes requirements, it's important to analyze the visibility from the building and also from the surround, and to know the total surface, because according to this we will design a specific scheme of irrigation or another, or also for the automation system, and also to take into account the space requirements for the installations. That for the easiest installations will be like a small area where all the bulbs and components are ubicated or positioned, but for bigger installations we will need some room, no, around 4 or 6 square meters in the building to place some water tanks and all the components and all the connections between this technical room and the surface for the living wall. As I told you, the installation requirements. Sorry, this has also some comments in Spanish. We will need some supplies, no, the water supply, electricity supply, drainage supply, and also we will have to study the auxiliary lighting requirements, no, and also to think about how the maintenance will be done. This is something that we have been commented in the previous slides, and also how you are going to control which aspects related to the moisture, temperature, or modifications of the flow, total flow expected will be taken into account to detect possible potential failures, no? Focus. Bueno, Damian, I don't know if you want to add anything related with the aspects to take into account for the technical design.
Yeah, the water pressure is important, but like you said, the best way is if investor take into the consideration installing a living wall at the beginning of the project. Then everything is prepared, and it's so much easier to do it then, and it's also less expensive than adding a wall onto the existing surface, like somewhere inside, right? So like we had that example in Katowice on that hotel. On that part of the hotel, the investor didn't have to put the glass facade, which is also expensive and so on. It was kind of thought through from the beginning. So everything was prepared for us during the installation, and that was, yeah, pretty straightforward.
Also, it's important that to get the supply once the plant is on site, because if we plant and we don't have water or electricity, it can be a real problem to keep all the plants in good condition. So this is related with the schedule that has to be very well organized for the execution process.
Yeah, so when we do the installation, once we have the modules on site and the irrigation system, just before we start planting, the most important thing to do then is to check through every dripper and see if the water is running correctly, because this is essential.
Okay, and then focus on the phytotextile system is the patent that we have developed from the University of Seville and that now distribute through Hadart, no, in Poland. The key aspects of the system can be summarized in these three aspects. No, first of all, aeration of the outdoor outlier. That gives to the roots a very good conditions to get a very healthy breathable process, no process, because the roots can get a lot of oxygen from the outside, and this translates in a fast growth of the plants and a better health for plants. Also, the distribution of the intermediate layer helps the system to have to get a very homogeneous distribution of the irrigation, and to get a very equilibrated moist in all the surface. That is a very risk factor in any living wall system. And finally, the back layer is waterproof, so we don't need to place any other element or any other component to avoid the contact of the water with the facade. And also because it's like a ventilated facade, we will have about evaporation of the potential moist that we can get because of condensation in this back chamber. These are some images of the test that we have done to test the fire resistance, the strength for the traction, some irrigation reports to analyze the distribution and the correct distribution of moist along all the module, and also a footprint report that we can give. No. Main advantages of the system, as Damian commented before, one is the easy installation process, no, that we can give. It's a very easy step-by-step process. Place the auxiliary structure, place the modules, place irrigation lines, and then place plants. So in 4 steps, you can get a complete solution ready to be functioning. No, also we get a very fast coverage of the planting thanks to the pixel pattern and the different densities that we can supply. That can be 36 and 49 pockets per square meter. So those are the 2 options that we can give. And finally, thanks to this matrix of pockets, we can have a very detailed control of the design. So once we prepare a design in the project phase, we will keep the result. No, we can control in a very in a very specific way. No, how it will be implemented on site. Finally, the design process. We always recommend to start it having in mind the objectives for the installation. No, in case that we want to get an environmental improvement or a landscape or aesthetical improvement, or mainly focus maybe in an energetic improvement. Of course, we can get all of these aspects when we install a living wall system, but according to the main aspect in which we want to focus, we can we can have the very better decisions, no, in the process of the design. According to this, thanks to the implementation of green facades and green roofs, we can implement some bioclimatic design strategies, no, that can be related with the good performance of the building, understanding the building like a autonomous element that can have a thermal functioning that can be improved, and so no, the plants can add some reduction of temperature, also to a biofiltration of the indoor air, and also we can reduce the impact of heating in outside. Of course, this in climates where the worst situations are the cold weathers, it will not be so powerful in the functioning of the thermal functioning of the envelope, but it will be also an increase of the thermal efficiency of the facade in both of cases. At the end, also for the outdoor benefits, the fixation of the gases that can be toxic can make a bad effect for the climatic change, can be fight with this type of systems. No? When we draft a project, the landscape design is the most important part in the information that we develop. No, and it starts with the analysis of the climate conditions, analyzing the local weather, temperature, and humidity. Also doing a sunlight study to analyze where will be the more shadow areas and more exposed sunny exposed areas, also to take into account the wind exposure, and analyze the water quality, because depending on the pH or the conductivity, we could have some problems with plants. So we need to adapt the selection of plants to the result of all these analysis. Also, the accessibility, to have in mind from the designing process all the lifespan of the installation. The accessibility is something to be analyzed, because in case we have a very easy to access installation, we can we can uh, assume more risk in the design, because it will not be expensive to replace any plant or to check the system. But if you have a installation that is around 10 or 20 meters over the ground, it will be more risky to do some or more expensive to do some works on site. No.
Yeah, from the service point of view, you have to know what's going on the whole of the wall. So yeah, the important thing is to check what's happening up there. Of course, we have those moisture sensors, light sensors, which are helping us very much. We see everything on the mobile app, so we know what's the moisture level at the moment. We can increase the irrigation or reduce as required. So that helps a lot. But yes, accessibility is very important. So it has to be considered with the big walls for sure.
Yes. With the sunlight study, what we get is to have a distribution of areas, as I told you, and thanks to that, we can adapt the designs to these areas that we detect. No, so when we draft a landscape design project, we do it taking all these aspects into account. This has to be done outdoors, but indoors there is a very important thing to have in mind always from the beginning, that if we want to have a very long life period of the with a good health of the installation, we have to provide the quality light that the plants require. Don't go very deep in these technical aspects, only to let you know that the wavelength in which the human eye can have a good response is in this average, no, around 550 nanometers. But the plants get the activation of the chlorophyll and the carotenoids that are necessary for the plants to be healthy and to grow. They see the light in this wavelength, so around 450 and 650. So for a good light design, we need to cover all this spread spectrum, no, of the wavelengths. So at the end, the lights that we use have to cover all these surface, so this spectrum. At the end, we will use these parameters, no, for plants to take into account the light quality, the light intensity. We measurize in ppfd. It means that density, photosynthetic photon flux density is the density that we get of a good light for plants on the surface of the systems. So it doesn't make sense to talk about luxes when we are talking about living walls. So we need a good um, uh, chromatic reproduction index to get the real colors, and also according with a adapted color temperature, we will be able to create the ambience that we want, but we will be always around 5,000 degrees, no. This is the information that we developed for the lighting analysis, and that we provide to Hadart when they install a system indoors, in which we analyze previously before the system is installed, which will be the areas in where we get the highest levels of PPFD. That at the end will be the areas where we will it will be easy to place plants with higher requirements of light, like plants with flowers. At the end, the more aesthetical plants will be always in these areas. For the pre-selection of species, going deeper in the selection of plants, at the end, what we will need is a list of valid species that can work well or function well and grow well in the specific conditions of every project. But it will be interesting to have a wide range of options, because once we start the installation, not all the plants will be available. So we will work with a design palette for the creation of every project. These are some images of a urban installation in Bilbao, in the north of Spain. It's around 300 square meters. And some images of the process of installation, no? Placing the plants according to the plans that we provide to the installer.
So here, if you can go back one picture, here the worker holds on the planting plan, which is quite important because we have this pixel system and we create waves or other designs. It is important to know that you have to plant every plant in the right place. So every plant on the design has a exact place where it has to be planted, and in that way we create those designs at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's when once the installation start to be easy to enjoy, no, and when the result impact in the place where the installation is.
And the nice thing is that the result is straight away, because sometimes the investors are asking me on site like when it will grow nicely, so it will have this great effect. And actually, these walls look great pretty much straight away. As soon as the scaffolding goes down, everyone goes, wow.
Mm-hmm. Yes, for sure. At the end, we live in a society that requires to have very fast results. No, so at the end, with this type of system, thanks to the size of pots, we can make these periods as small as possible, as short as possible. No? At the end, I wanted to share with you some design process examples. With this, we start in the last part of the presentation, and we can go faster because it's only for you to let you know how from the idea, from the composition aspect, we draft an adaptation to the surface of the living wall according to all the parameters that we have been commenting, no, about the selection of plants, sunlight study, requirements of water. Yes.
Yeah. Just continue. Sorry.
Yes, and after this implementation, we draft a distribution of pockets, no, of plant in every pocket that make it very easier for the installation for the installer company to place plants and to get the result. In this case, this is a very first moment on the installation. Once the plant is already placed into the pockets, no, and when you realize the final design. This is in Estepona in the south of Spain. Another project in Madrid, in the capital of Spain, in Alcobendas. This is the inspiration was this lighting, you know, this movement of the lights with this speed, because it was a living wall installed close to the high road, where there will not be time to see, you know, and to enjoy the design. So we base the composition on these organic and soft lines that after this we implement with the planting design, and finally the result. No, only for you to see the complete process. Some indoor examples inspired by the Night with the Stars of Van Gogh. We adapted the one area and do the plan selection of in every pocket, and then we get the final result with plants. So as you see, we can get a very high variety of design concepts and options. This is another indoor installation with a different composition, working in the vertical lines, no? In a coffee shop in a company building in Madrid, and some case studies. This is Poseidon Center Living Wall in Szczecin, made by Hadart.
Yeah, so this is our first outside wall in Poland using Fytotextile. And yeah, and yes, it still looks great.
You don't see the cranes at the top, but there are some cranes that helps
Yeah, because
timbers.
in this case, in this building, the accessibility is only possible by climbers. We cannot get with the lift inside that patio. So climbers have to have a climbing arm. So it's a special equipment, and they put the ropes over there. So it has all the safety features, and they go from the top on the ropes down, and they maintain the wall in that way.
Mm-hmm. And this another is a installation that combines green roof and living wall in Seville, in the exit buildings of a parking ground that was in the basement. Also some different installations in a pharmacy in the outdoor facade. The biggest indoor installation made by Fytotextile also in the north of Spain is around 450 square meters, even more, 460, I guess. These are different point of view from the ground floor, looking to the top. This is the lighting, no, the windows in the roof. So this is the wall, and all these are the beams that connect the facade with the building. No? Other installations outdoors, and also an outdoor installation in Poland made by Hadart in the we also using phytotextile. Different compositions. These are some patios in Seville, in a residence building, and a corner also in UK. And with this, we finish. I will not pronounce this because. But thank you for
za uwagę. To ja mogę powiedzieć w imieniu, tak, Fernando.
Yes. Thank you for your attention, and I hope that this presentation has been interesting for you. I will be happy to answer all the questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you very much, Fernando, for your inspiring presentation. Actually, we have one question, or I would rather say a request. Is it possible for you to send a document about correlation between green surroundings and well-being? This is something which you have said in a very beginning of a presentation.
You mean scientific articles?
Oh, okay. So
there are many scientific literature and based on different investigation projects that at the end are distributed by investigation magazines that they are not used to be like for free. We can collect some data or try to see check what information we can send you, no, for you to send to the people on the webinar. If in case you have a more specific value that you would like to know, there are, because every investigation article focus on a specific aspect. So the complexity of these studies is used to be because every analysis is done for a specific situation, and to extrapolate values is not so easy to get like a parameter to use in a general way. But okay, if you send me a list of aspects that someone would like to know much more about it, I will try to figure it out and send you information.
Okay, so we will contact with you after the webinar.
Okay.
Do you have any question more?
Yeah, anyway, through Hadart, we will be happy to attend any clarification or comment that someone may have. For sure, there's a lot of information, and I don't know if is there some aspect missing or any aspect that someone would like to extend a bit more. We will be happy to send more information to anyone who requires.
Okay, thank you very much. Guess we don't have more question. So I would like to say again, thank you, Damian, thank you, Fernando, for a very inspiring presentation, and thanks all participants of this meeting, and see you next time.
Thank you once again. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye. Thank you,
Bye.
all of you.